Hi, my name is Emily Otto, and this is my final for observing early relationships birth through 8 years. I'm a sophomore social work major with a minor in early childhood studies. For a very long time, I've wanted to be a child life specialist. These people are trained in the developmental impact of illness and injury. Child life specialists help children and families cope with illness or injury and hospitalization by providing play therapy, education, and preparation for procedures. Recently, however, I've been interested in being an infant or toddler lead guide at a center. These teachers provide developmentally appropriate activities for the children, care for their needs, and manage classroom behaviors. Both of these careers really interest me. I took this class for my early childhood minor initially, but I realized that I'm very passionate about early relationships with children. Module 1 consisted of learning about basic observation skills and how our mood and mannerisms can affect the children we care for. We also learned the difference between watching children and observing children. Observing children will be a very important part of my life if I end up being an infant or toddler teacher. And so same with if I'm a child life specialist. I work at the Montessori School of Duluth, and objective observation is something that is used very often. Teachers observe children using the spaces so they can assess how they can improve the environment and seeing if the toys are age and developmentally appropriate. Observing children is all about focusing on what the child is doing, not why you think they are doing that behavior. Later, you can interpret these results, but this should not be a part of the initial observation. This module was about how we, the observers, bring different ideas and opinions into our observations. We learned about our attachment styles, our culture and biases, and some general knowledge about child development. In both of my career choices, this information will be important for me to know. My culture and biases need to be known so that I can work on treating every family and child with equity. In both careers, I'll be working with a variety of cultures and different people, and examining myself in this way can be helpful in addressing what I need to do to help every family. In recent studies, it was shown that teachers watch black boys the most for bad behavior. This is implicit bias. It is not intentional, but still affects how we view and treat others. Racism is so embedded into our society, and we need to learn how we can be actively anti racist instead of just not racist, especially when working with children. Supporting them for who they are is a huge part in a relationship. How we are raised and our family values can also affect how we interact with and observe children. For example, I was raised to show my feelings and show my emotions at a young age. Some children were raised the opposite and told to keep their emotions in. Understanding that every family is different is important in assessing children. This module introduced us to several observation methods: time sampling, checklists, frequency counts, and anecdotal records. Time sampling measures the attention span of the child, while checklists check off developmental milestones. Frequency counts measure frequently recurring behaviors, and anecdotal records keep track of specific details about a child's actions. If I end up being an infant or toddler teacher, I would probably use every type of observation method. Each method provides different information, and some are more detailed than others. Many teachers pick checklists because it's an easy way to assess a child's development. If I'm a child life specialist, I would most likely be doing checklists and anecdotal records as a way to assess sick or injured children. For both of my career goals, I will be doing observations one way or another. This module was all about our observations and what they can tell us about developmental, social, and emotional, and communication. We also learned about running records and what an ASQ is. Running records is a method of observation where the recorder writes important information down as it happens, which leads to raw data. ASQ stands for Ages and Stages Questionnaire, and I would most likely do these assessments as a child life specialist. Observations can teach us a lot about a child's development, and when a child's development is hindered by illness or injury, these assessments become even more important as it can lead to the family to the right resources to help their child during and after their time in the hospital. Being an infant and toddler teacher, observations are just as important. They could help me figure out how to set up a room, see how each children are learning, and how I can help them. Observations can also tell us early indicators of disability. This module was all about the circle of security and relationships. The circle of security is a model that explores how parents can attend to their child's needs. When a child is feeling frustrated or overwhelmed and they are acting withdrawn, whiny, or demanding, that actually means your child needs you to help regulate themselves and return to their activity. Being a secure base for a child to go to out of confidence and a safe haven to come back to when they do not know how to manage their feelings is very important. In both of my career choices, I will most likely be teaching families about the circle of security and how it aids with healthy relationships between parent and child. With both professions, I may be the primary relationship with a child, and I will use the circle of security then, I also plan on using this with my own children one day. This module was all about the role feeding plays in relationships, and it also explored motor development. High quality feeding in early life is positively linked to secure attachments as well as cognitive and linguistic competence. Having a positive environment and routine is key to a positive feeding relationship. Some things to promote this healthy relationship include trust and confidence in your baby and following their lead. Reading your baby's body language also is a way to make sure your baby gets their needs met when they need them. If I was a child life specialist, I would most likely see feeding relationships that are being strained by the hospital stay. For example, children may have a feeding tube and the parents could still be figuring it out. I could use this information to assure families that they can still have a positive relationship with feeding and help them come up with a feeding routine that works for everyone. Motor development is also important in relationships with young children. Helping to promote the child's confidence and learning these skills make a child feel good about themselves. To support motor development, you can express encouragement with body language or words and use an upbeat tone of voice. Supporting these skills are linked to a secure relationship. I will be encouraging children's motor development in my career either way, and this information is helpful to remember, even now when I'm working at Montessori. This last module was about how the environment and routines can support relationships and development. Environments should engage in learning, support interactions, and promote independence. In both of my career choices, I will be setting up a space for children to grow and learn. If I'm a teacher, it would be a classroom, and if I was a child life specialist, it would be a playroom. Environments should be intimate and comfortable and have lots of options so the adult does not have to keep redirecting. The other part of this module focused on COVID-19 and how it is influencing environments and routines for children. While we all hope the upcoming vaccine will return life to normal, there is a chance that when we graduate, we still may suffering the effects, especially children growing up during this time. We know for a fact that the pandemic is hindering development, and we need to be prepared for the outcomes in our future careers with children. COVID-19 and final thoughts. COVID has been stressful for everyone, even kids. Children whose parents are dealing with toxic stress may also begin to show signs of toxic stress. It is important for us to help children and families during this time and support them as much as possible. Overall, in my job as either a child life specialist or infant toddler teacher, I will use the information I learned in this class very frequently. I can also use it at my current job and for when I have kids of my own. I hope everyone has a great break. Happy holidays.